I woke up in the body of the male protagonist of a novel, a man who constantly suffered. The female protagonist, Eleanor, on the very day her beloved returned to the country, didn't hesitate to ask me for a divorce. And all of this happened on our third wedding anniversary. I agreed without a second thought because I knew that within a month, she would be involved in a car accident. She would become paraplegic, spending the rest of her life in a wheelchair. Chapter 1. Henry, sign here. You know I never really loved you. Just sign, and I'll give you 20 million. Dominic is back, and we're getting a divorce. I looked up, confused. What, Henry? This felt so familiar, as if I were the male protagonist of a tragic novel I had read during many sleepless nights. In an instant, memories flooded my mind. I had no doubt anymore. Indeed, I had traveled through time, and I had become the male protagonist, Henry. The woman in front of me, demanding a divorce, was the female protagonist, Eleanor. I glanced at the romantic, candlelit dinner in front of me and suddenly remembered that today was the wedding anniversary of the original protagonist and the female protagonist. How despicable to propose a divorce on a day like this. I'm warning you, if you don't agree, do you think I can't have you kicked out of the entertainment industry in an instant? Seeing that I didn't respond, Eleanor irritatedly threatened more directly. I know, of course I know. The original was a third-rate actor in the entertainment industry, playing small roles as the fifth or sixth male lead, while Eleanor, on the other hand, was the daughter of the Lynn conglomerate tycoon. She could crush me with a single finger, easier than squashing an ant. In the book, the original protagonist didn't agree, but me? I gave her a cold look, picked up the contract, and started reading it, making a few disapproving sounds. 20 million? You, Eleanor, came up with that amount. What do you think? That I'm a beggar? A fixed price, 50 million. Eleanor's face visibly darkened. Through clenched teeth, she said, Henry, all you really want is my money. If I were the original protagonist, these words would have surely hurt him, but I no longer loved her. I didn't care about losing everything, but I wasn't going to let her take my money too. I'm not like those male protagonists in romance novels who say, I won't let your money humiliate me. I'm a very practical person. You know I'm an unrecognized actor, but Dominic isn't. He's a top-tier star who's returned after studying abroad. If people find out he's involved with a married woman, wouldn't that be a huge scandal? I know you have the ability to handle it, but how much time and effort would it cost? 50 million, and I promise I won't say a word about our relationship. Despite everything, Eleanor was an exceptional businesswoman. After weighing the pros and cons, although her face was visibly annoyed, she finally nodded and agreed. I grabbed my bag, and before leaving, I left one last remark. Remember to pay the bill, and I walked away without looking back. Chapter 2. Eleanor's efficiency was truly remarkable. That very night, I received the divorce agreement. Early the next morning, Eleanor and I went to the civil affairs office. By the afternoon, 50 million had been deposited into my bank account. I also moved out of the original house as quickly as possible and went to stay with my agent, Martin. The agent was the original body's childhood friend, and the house he lived in was also fully paid for by the original body. Over the years, he was one of the few people who knew about the relationship between the original body and Eleanor. Divorced. I nodded. He watched as I carried in my luggage, big and small, and after listening to my explanation, he showed an expression of disbelief. Wait, weren't you just celebrating your third wedding anniversary with Eleanor yesterday? Yesterday was yesterday, and today is today. No one could have imagined that the person who was so excited about being with Eleanor forever just yesterday now, just like that, got a divorce. Not only was I not bothered, but I even proudly said, divorced, and I got 50 million out of it. Look at you, so easily satisfied. Martin gave me a disapproving look. Even if you were getting a divorce, you should have squeezed more out of Eleanor. 50 million is too little. That's right. Considering Eleanor's net worth of several billion, 50 million was indeed too little. It's not that I hadn't thought about trying to get more money from her, but once I remembered that in a month she would be disabled from a car accident, I couldn't wait to cut ties with her immediately. 50 million was a very reasonable and acceptable amount for Eleanor at this time. Anymore, and she probably wouldn't agree. Delaying the divorce was not the result I wanted. I didn't want to end up like the original body, proving my genuine love for the female lead after she became disabled and was abandoned by Dominic, still eagerly clinging to her, and spending a lifetime with a disabled person. I don't discriminate against the disabled, but I do discriminate against Eleanor. Martin helped me unpack my luggage, and I went to the kitchen to pour 2 glasses of water. When I came out, I heard Martin cursing while scrolling through his phone in the living room. Damn, this pair of scoundrels actually went public. Went public? I went over to take a look. Hashtag top male star Dominic and Eleanor's relationship hashtag was followed by a big explosive character. This bitch, Martin said. Did she forget how Dominic dumped her and went abroad when the Lynn family was almost bankrupt? The Lynn family's business wasn't always smooth sailing. 3 years ago, it suffered a significant blow, though it wasn't on the verge of bankruptcy. But back then, Dominic, who was still Eleanor's boyfriend, somehow got the news, thinking the Lynn family was going bankrupt. He couldn't wait to break up with Eleanor. He ignored Eleanor's pleas, even when she knelt before him. But Dominic didn't even glance back at her. That I didn't want to dwell on this matter, so I turned off his phone screen. Why bother with this? Let's go. Let's have a big meal. Martin also temporarily forgot about the issue, and upon hearing about good food, he hurriedly started packing up to go out. This foodie, I shook my head helplessly. Chapter 3. In the past, the original body and Martin relied on each other when they were in the orphanage. Later, they both got into college and remained inseparable, from living in a basement together to now living in a spacious flat. They supported each other all the way. In the original story, he was the only one who always resolutely stood by the original body, no matter what happened. When they arrived at their destination, I told him to loosen up a bit. He ordered a few dishes, but I could tell they were the cheapest ones. When the waiter handed me the menu, I added 2 more dishes he liked, which weren't exactly cheap. After the waiter left, Martin quietly said to me, "Actually, we didn't really have to come to this kind of place to eat. What's there to be afraid of? If we run out of money, we can always earn more later." He smiled and nodded. True. While waiting for the food, Martin and I both had our heads down, looking at our phones. But then I suddenly heard a familiar voice. "Henry, didn't expect it to really be you. You really like taking other people's things, don't you? Before I went abroad, every time I came here to eat, I liked to sit in this spot because it had the best view. Even if Eleanor doesn't like you, you didn't have to follow me here to steal my spot." I looked up, and Dominic's exquisitely handsome face came into view. Dominic was undoubtedly good-looking, one of the rare celebrities in the entertainment industry with exceptional charisma. If it weren't for his looks, how could his crying scenes, which only worked with eye drops, have made him a top star? I didn't know Dominic was coming here to eat, let alone that this was his favorite spot. Dominic moved a little closer, lowering his voice. "Henry, things you take from others never last." Dominic caught a glimpse of Eleanor, who had walked over and naturally wrapped her arm around his waist. Dominic gently placed his hand on her shoulder and completely changed his demeanor. They both looked incredibly intimate. "Henry, you know I love sitting here. Why did you have to take my spot? Is it because Eleanor chose me and not you? If that's the case, I'll leave." I couldn't help but think, if only he could use this acting in his regular performances, I bet no one would be online criticizing him for poor acting skills. Dominic pretended to leave. But how could Eleanor let her precious boy leave like that? She grabbed his hand and jumped into his arms, in a soft voice cooing, "It's just a seat. You can sit anywhere. If it's really a problem, I'll just buy the whole restaurant, okay?" This statement really showed Eleanor's wealth, and of course, she wasn't without the means to do it. "Henry, 1 million. Get out of this spot right now." Her voice was a bit loud, and some people nearby looked over. But it was such an insulting thing to say. In this situation, all I wanted to do was say, "Go ahead and insult me as much as you want." Dominic leaned against Eleanor proudly, looking at me with a triumphant expression. I knew he was waiting for me to feel sad, to be heartbroken. But instead, I pulled out my phone and placed the payment code in front of Eleanor. "Ms. Lynn, please scan the code. I'll leave right away." Eleanor Lynn's lips twitched, her eyes filled with disbelief. Normally, I would have been so upset I might have cried. But this time, she transferred the 1 million to me. Once the 1 million arrived, I quickly took Martin's hand and led him to a seat a bit further away. Thankfully, the dishes hadn't arrived yet, so I asked the waiter to bring the food to our new table. That I didn't care, but Martin did. "You're just going to let her insult you like that? Don't you think that's too much?" I winked at him with a big smile on my face. "Come on, 1 million. It's just a seat." Never mess with money, man. But you used to hate taking Eleanor's money, didn't you? You always said you wanted to prove you liked her for real, not because of her money. I felt incredibly awkward, my toes curling in embarrassment. The truth was, Eleanor always thought the original body was only with her for her money, and there were reasons for that. The original body, Eleanor, and Dominic all went to the same university. Dominic and the original body were even roommates. To pay for tuition, the original body started working part-time from freshman year. He was often seen at milk tea shops around campus and even sold stuff on the street. He lived frugally. Some might call it diligent, others might call it cheap. But every penny he spent, he earned with his own hard work. He could definitely be seen as an optimistic, hard-working Cinderella-like male lead. But when it came to love, he was an idiot who said that once you fall for love, you become a fool, and you'll always be a fool that only the person you fall for changes. The original body, on the other hand, got stuck on one tree. Martin, from now on, let's make a rule. Never talk about the stupid things I did before. Compared to that illusory love, I think money is much more reliable. Martin slowly gave me a thumbs up. I think what you said makes a lot of sense. Chapter 4. I originally thought that this meal was just a small disturbance, but I didn't expect that someone actually took a photo of it and posted it online. Of course, Dominic and Eleanor were so caught up in each other. How could there not be paparazzi when they were having dinner together? And I, as usual, ended up as the background for these two. Netizens commented, saying how sweet this combination was. 1 million just to change the seat Domi likes? If you say this isn't true love, I don't believe you. Look, isn't the guy in that seat the one who had the scandal with the young lady not long ago? The washed-up Henry. Yeah, maybe he's doing it on purpose, waiting over there to ride on their coattails for fame. Ugh, he really managed to ride on their coattails. Can we please kick this guy out of the entertainment industry? I don't care. In my eyes, Henry's the third wheel. Please, being a third wheel means the woman has to respond. This behavior is clearly just chasing after them. I scrolled through the comments, feeling speechless. How did it end up like this again? What did I do to deserve this? From the rightful partner to the third wheel. Well, I'm not even the rightful partner anymore. Just then, Martin came back from answering a call outside. He looked at me with an awkward expression, but I already knew what happened. Henry, the production team for the role you signed up for changed the male lead to Dominic. The show harem was invested in by the Lin family, and the original body had auditioned for the role of the third male lead. Although the original body used to be Eleanor's husband, he had never leveraged her identity to gain any roles that weren't his. Even the third male lead was a role he got through his own acting skills, after impressing the director in an audition. Originally, the male lead for this show wasn't Dominic, but another popular star. In the original story, Eleanor, in order to please Dominic, gave the role to him. It's just a change in the male lead, but the male lead is Dominic. You have several scenes with him, including one where you're supposed to fall into water or slap each other. Aren't you worried about him? Martin's worries weren't without reason. Back in college, Dominic gained a lot of attention for his looks, and many girls were attracted to him. But me, the original body, wasn't bad looking either. We were even known as the top 2 handsome guys on campus. Once, at a cultural evening event, the original body and Dominic were performing in a dual male lead scene. During rehearsals, everything went well, but during the actual performance, there was a scene where one of them was supposed to slap the other. It was supposed to be a fake slap, but Dominic actually slapped him with full force. It stunned the original body, but after a moment of shock, the original body gritted his teeth and finished the scene. Afterward, the drama club held a dinner to celebrate that flawless performance. Eleanor came, of course, with Dominic. Dominic's slap had been so hard that the swelling didn't go down for hours, and even foundation couldn't cover the fingerprint marks. Seeing this, Dominic gasped, "Ah, Henry, I didn't mean to. I just thought, what if we really slapped? It'd make the scene look more realistic, don't you think? I'm really sorry, but for the sake of a better effect, I'm sure you're willing to make that small sacrifice, right?" Everyone exchanged glances, but no one said anything. It was clear to everyone that Dominic had done it on purpose. Even if it was a real slap, there was no need to hit so hard, and Dominic was Eleanor's boyfriend, and the biggest entertainment company in the country was the Lin family's business. No one wanted to offend the Lin family. Before graduating, the original body sneered, "Dominic, right? when performing a death scene, should you also really die? After all, making small sacrifices for art, what's the big deal? Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Dominic's eyes instantly reddened, and he looked at Eleanor with a guilty expression. Eleanor, I really didn't mean to. I believe you. While Eleanor comforted Dominic, she turned to the original body and said, Henry, you don't need to target Dominic. Yes, I rejected your confession, but you don't have to attack Domi. I only love him. Hearing that, the original body froze. He didn't expect Eleanor to say this in front of everyone, and Dominic didn't seem surprised at all, clearly already knowing about it. When the original body confessed to Eleanor, she wasn't even with Dominic yet. She rejected him outright, and after that, he never pursued her again until she publicly announced her relationship with Dominic. Everyone's gaze immediately shifted to the original body, and his face, which was already burning with embarrassment, became even hotter. Now, looking back, he couldn't help but wonder why he'd ever been with a woman like Eleanor. She could dislike him, reject him, but she had no right to bring it up in front of a crowd. A woman like that was truly LOW. This thought. I couldn't help but clench my fists. Damn the plot's influence that otherwise, the original body would never have fallen for Eleanor. But the show must go on. Even though Harem was a big male lead drama, it also had plenty of screen time and lines for my character. The script was good, the production team was solid, and since I had already signed the contract, I wasn't going to pay the penalty for breaking it and give up the show to end the original story. The original body had refused to appear in the show just because Dominic was the male lead, even willing to pay the penalty. In the end, the role the original body was supposed to play was given to someone else, and that role went on to become hugely popular, earning the title of Best Supporting Actor that year. Chapter 5. Since we were in the same production team, it was inevitable that we'd run into each other. The first few scenes went by without incident, but Sophia frequently visited the set. Every time she came, the entire crew would stop working for half a day because of her arrival. The director of this drama was originally a very serious person. He wasn't too pleased when the male lead was changed to Daniel, the actor he had originally chosen. Now, because of Daniel, progress was delayed, and the director's face had become even more sour. James, can you still eat? I took a big gulp of my Starbucks drink and bit into a pastry. I was naturally on the thinner side, and since the role I was playing required me to look a bit more rounded, I didn't have to worry about my diet. Why can't I eat? Look at them. Martin pointed in the direction of Daniel and Sophia, where I saw Sophia sitting on Daniel's lap. The two of them were so intimate they were practically about to kiss. I quickly raised my hand to shield my eyes, also blocking Martin's view. Don't look, be careful, or you'll get styes. In that moment, I could only describe the scene as painful to the eyes. It was like seeing someone urinate in public, no difference at all. Are you really not upset? Oh, I've already told you I don't like her anymore. Why don't you believe me? It wasn't Martin's fault. I had liked Sophia too much before, to the point of doing anything for her. Stop overthinking. Free food and drinks, what's not to like? The director didn't say anything, so as a small supporting role, I didn't have much room to speak either. Daniel's favorite thing to do every day was show off his relationship with Sophia. The media kept making headlines about them. Small ones every 3 days, big ones every 5. Their ship fans were really invested. What I looked forward to most now wasn't anything else, but how Daniel would react after Sophia's accident. A month passed quickly. We'd filmed 3 scenes by morning, and during the break, Martin immediately brought his phone over to me. Sophia's been in a car accident. It's serious. She's still in the emergency room. At the same time, Daniel quickly requested time off from the director. Filming was nothing compared to visiting Sophia in the hospital. That was the priority. I'm sure he'd already contacted the reporters beforehand. I couldn't help but sneer inwardly. He probably didn't know that Sophia's accident wasn't a minor one, that she had to have an amputation. Chapter 6. After finishing my scenes, I took an early rest and went home. Bored out of my mind, I scrolled through my phone. Sophia's situation couldn't be hidden anymore. There were already plenty of paparazzi leaks online. Sophia had lost her leg, and her fans were going crazy, flooding Daniel's media posts with comments. Say something. Is it true that President Cher lost her leg? Even if it's true, you love her so much that you would never give up on her, right? It's just an amputation. Nothing can break Domi and President Schur's love. They'll survive this trial. As the comments piled up, Daniel still didn't respond. In the original story, although the fact that the protagonist and Sophia were married wasn't widely known, they were indeed married. And Daniel didn't make a big show of his relationship with her, so even though they had fans, it wasn't too many. But this time, things were different. Daniel and Sophia had publicly announced their relationship, and for the past month, they had been flaunting their love all over the place. I was munching on fruit, happily scrolling through my phone, when suddenly a familiar number popped up on my screen. I hesitated for a moment, but still answered the call. Before I could speak, I heard a loud voice from the other side. "James, where the hell have you been? I'm warning you that you need to get to the hospital within half an hour." It was Monica, Sophia's mother. Monica had never liked the original protagonist. The only reason the protagonist was with Sophia was because he had once saved her grandmother before she passed. Sophia's grandmother wanted to see her granddaughter married, so she chose the protagonist, and Monica had always looked down on him for being an orphan. Oda, she probably didn't know that Sophia and I had already divorced. At first, I didn't want to go, but when I thought about how entertaining this situation could be, I couldn't resist. With a schadenfreude mindset, I quickly dressed up and headed to the hospital. The Lin family had money, so the hospital was theirs. That's why there were no other patients on the floor except for Sophia. When I entered the room, Sophia was lying on the bed with her eyes shut. She hadn't woken up yet. Daniel and Monica were standing by her side. Daniel immediately rushed to me and said, "James, why did you come so late? Sophia's condition is really serious, her leg." "I know," I cut in. "I saw it on the media. So why haven't you come to take care of her yet?" Seeing this, Monica was absolutely furious. She stormed over and raised her hand to slap me, but I quickly grabbed her wrist. Monica was in her 50s. There was no way I, in my 20s, could be her match. "Mrs. Monica, if you want to talk, just talk. Are you planning to hit me?" I let go of her hand, and she staggered back a few steps, almost falling over. You've gone too far. How dare you stop me?" The original protagonist had always respected Monica because she was Sophia's mother, but that had nothing to do with me. "If I hadn't stopped you, would you have hit me? So, what do you want me to do here? What else? You're going to quit the entertainment industry and stay at home to take care of my daughter?" Monica snapped. "How much are you going to pay me for that?" Monica's eyes widened in disbelief as she stared at me. "What did you say? You want money? Of course. I'm no longer involved with your daughter. You probably didn't know, but Sophia and I are already divorced. And now, her boyfriend is standing right next to you. I gestured to Daniel. Daniel had always been Monica's ideal son. Law. So it's all because of this. "Fine," she said. "Here's the deal. If you agree to quit the entertainment industry and stay with Sophia to take care of her, the Lin family will announce your and Sophia's relationship to the public." Monica gave me a disdainful look, her tone dripping with mockery. Her speech and posture were so similar to her daughter's. She was certain I would never leave Sophia, even if we were divorced, and that wouldn't change anything. "Ma'am, are you out of your mind? Nowadays, even hiring a caregiver costs money. What kind of relationship do you think I have with your daughter? You want me to take care of her for free? Find out if I have to do it. It'll cost $10 million a month." Monica gasped. "You're crazy." Just then, I heard Sophia's voice from the bed that she had woken up. Monica hurried over, while I stood at a distance, even further away than Daniel. Clearly, Sophia had just realized the severity of her condition and was now in shock. She began to panic, but neither I nor Daniel moved to stop her. No, this can't be happening. My leg. Mom, are you lying to me? I just got some anesthesia. That's why I can't feel it, right?" I crossed my arms, standing at a distance, and said, "No, it's real. You really lost your leg." Sophia trembled, and Monica shot me a venomous glare. I shrugged and said, "I just think every patient deserves to know the truth about their condition." "Mom, is what he's saying true?" Monica didn't answer, tears welling up in her eyes. Sophia turned to me, her eyes filled with hope. "James, are you taking revenge on me? What you're saying isn't true, right?" With her expectant gaze fixed on me, I slowly said, "Who's taking revenge? Your hands still work, right? Just lift the blanket and see for yourself." In disbelief, Sophia tried to lift the blanket, but Monica quickly pressed her down while calling for the doctor. After leaving the room, Monica immediately started scolding me. James, how could you say that to Sophia? I'm telling you that even if you kneel in front of me, I will never allow you to be with my daughter again. I really wanted to know what kind of nonsense was going on in Monica's head. Her precious daughter, who used to be perfect, was now not only legless but soon would be targeted by the higher-upset Lin group. She would lose her position and status, and all her assets would slowly drain away, eventually leading to bankruptcy. Who would want your crippled daughter? Monica's face turned red as her gaze landed on Daniel. Almost as if she was desperately trying to prove something, she grabbed Daniel by the arm and, in a haughty tone, said, "Without you, there's still Domi. If it weren't for you, Domi would be my son, law." Before Sophia's accident, this kind of situation would have been the source of Daniel's pride, but now his expression was anything but confident. He yanked his arm free from Monica's grip and, pretending to be busy, pulled out his phone to look at it. Mrs. Monica, I've got something urgent. I'll leave now and come back to visit you and Sophia later." With that, Daniel hurriedly left, his pace much faster than usual, as though he was afraid Monica would drag him back. I couldn't help but laugh, and Monica's face darkened even further. "James, don't you regret it? Even though our Sophia has had an accident and lost a leg, with the Lin family's power, who do you think would be afraid of us?" Having seen enough of the drama, I waved my hand and turned to leave. Chapter 7. Without Sophia around, the production team finally resumed its usual schedule. What I didn't expect was that Daniel actually made an official statement, saying he would continue to be with Sophia and would never leave her, which earned him a lot of praise online. Our Domi is just so genuine, handsome, and kind-hearted. Those who said he would leave Sophia must be dumbfounded now. True love can overcome anything. The ship I'm supporting is the sweetest. Seeing Domi and Miss Lin together, I believe in love again. As I scrolled through the media, reading the netizens' envy and praise, I couldn't help but feel disgusted. Suddenly, a voice came from above. "James." It was Daniel, the big star, coming over to find me. "What's up? You must have been waiting to watch me make a fool of myself. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I've decided to stay with Sophia." So he came over just to tell me this. I raised an eyebrow. "So how many shares did Monica give you from the Lin family?" Daniel's eyes widened. "How do you know?" He glanced around to make sure no one was listening, but didn't continue the conversation. I chuckled. Monica had told me that even though Sophia had lost a leg, she could still get married. I wasn't surprised at all. After all, the Lin family still had money. "Daniel, don't say I didn't warn you. There are plenty of people in the Lin family eyeing Sophia. Right now, she's still the one in charge, but that might not be the case in the future. Are you sure you want to spend your life with a person like Sophia?" Daniel was a simple, minded guy, but after hearing my analysis, I could see doubt creeping into his expression. I shrugged and continued. "If you really love Sophia and want to spend your life with her, then just forget everything I said." I stood up and walked around him to head to the bathroom. I never expected Sophia would contact me. After all, we were already divorced. If she needed someone, it should be Daniel. But when I saw a familiar phone number flashing on my screen, I couldn't help but frown. After a moment's hesitation, I answered the call. There was a brief silence on the other end. Then a tired and hoarse voice spoke. "James." I could almost detect a hint of longing in her voice. "Do you need something?" I replied, my tone still cold. There was silence for a few seconds before she spoke again. "How did we end up like this? We shouldn't be like this. Didn't you love me? Didn't you promise you would never give up on me? Why this time did you so easily divorce me? And you didn't even come to see me or take care of me. I haven't had your cooking in so long that I want to drink the porridge you made." After Sophia's car accident, the original protagonist not only had to console her broken heart daily, but also had to deal with her wild emotional outbursts to help her recover. He learned all sorts of skills, including cooking and psychology. Every day he would make her different dishes, but at first, she refused to eat any of it. He spent hours on these meals, but Sophia would just angrily knock them over. It wasn't until later, when she perhaps truly felt abandoned by the world and saw that only the protagonist stayed by her side, that she softened and finally drank the porridge he made for her. "You want porridge? Order delivery on your phone or hire someone to cook it for you. Why are you calling me? You're not James. Who are you really?" My James would never speak to me like this, so cold-hearted. I was surprised she could tell. It was true that I wasn't James. Does it matter who I am? Let me remind you, we're divorced. We no longer have anything to do with each other. Where did you take my James? I ignored her furious shouting and hung up the phone. I couldn't help but mutter to myself, crazy. I had never seen such a shameless protagonist. The way she had treated the original protagonist before, and now she had the audacity to ask me these questions. But then again, I wasn't James. Where had the original James gone? For the first time, I found myself wondering, why was I here in this world? Chapter 8. That night, I had a dream. In the dream, I saw someone standing face to face with me, almost as if I was looking into a mirror. But I wasn't scared at all. In fact, I felt a strange sense of familiarity. Who are you? Hello, I'm James. The person in front of me spoke softly, with a faint smile on his face. Thank you for helping me. I looked at him in confusion. Help you? What did I help you with? James explained everything to me. He had already awakened long ago and no longer wanted to be with Sophia, but he couldn't break free from the plot. It was as if something was controlling him, that his entire life had been lived for Sophia. He didn't want to face this destiny, so he developed a strong obsession. Coincidentally, my obsession resonates with your energy field. Without realizing it, you came into this world, became me, and helped me completely free myself from Sophia. Now, I don't have to be manipulated by anyone anymore. I can live freely and be myself. I felt happy for him. That's great. So does that mean I can go back now? James nodded, and suddenly everything went black. I realized that I was still lying in bed. On my phone screen, the novel I had been reading earlier was still there. However, for some reason, the novel had almost completely changed. In this version of the story, James and Sophia had divorced. Sophia had been in a car accident and lost a leg. Monica had given Daniel 5% of the shares in order to keep him, but because Daniel's public persona was carefully managed by the media, he couldn't escape from Sophia. Sophia went crazy trying to find James, but after filming Harem, James went abroad and cut off all contact with her. Sophia fell into a deep depression, and the senior executives at Lin Group obviously couldn't allow someone like her to continue leading the company. At a shareholders' meeting, Sophia was directly removed from her position. She didn't even realize that within Lin Group, she was gradually losing her footing, that all the industries and wealth were being exploited and drained by those old-timers. As for Daniel, he was caught on camera spending the night in a hotel with another actress, and there was a recording of him talking about Sophia with someone. Cripple? I've long wanted to break up with her. If it weren't for her mom willing to give me money, I wouldn't even bother looking at her. If I had known it would be like this, I wouldn't have gotten back with her when I returned to the country. It's all bad luck. In the entertainment industry, the worst thing that could happen was a public persona crashing. The people who had once supported Daniel turned against him, his reputation and image plummeted, and several companies dropped him. He had to pay large penalties. As for Sophia, she drank herself into oblivion and kept calling the original James's phone number. But that phone number had long been deactivated. James, you just don't remember. Once you do, you'll realize how much you truly love me. Everyone in the world might give up on me, but you would never. That's not you. If it were you, you would never give up on me. At this point, I couldn't help but laugh. She still didn't know that the current James was the real James, and the real James, free from the influence of the plot, really didn't want anything to do with Sophia. On the day Sophia died from alcohol poisoning, James finally returned from abroad to attend his Best Supporting Actor award ceremony. And that's how the story came to an end. I saw a few comments, and one of them caught my attention. The ID name was Henry, and the reply said, "Thank you." What was this? Just a coincidence, I thought.